Good evening, everyone. My name is Irma Cabriales from Latin American Coalition and Fort Pierce, San Lucie County, and Florida Immigrant Coalition. Today, I'm also representing the Farm Workers Association. I don't know if you are familiar with the situation of the immigrants. Thousands of Floridian immigrants used to be able to pass driving exam and obtain their driver license and be able to go to work, school, and whatever they want to go. And it was for many years until the country became more anti-immigrant. Now driving is basic necessity for the Floridian families for the subsistence and survival. Driving is also will be ensured to prosperity of Floridians, families, and will provide our state provide the economy. As governor, what will you do to restore the driver license for Florida immigrants so that they can take their children to school, go to work? And the most important is to visit the doctor more frequently and prevent major health problems. Thank you.
And just to make sure, to reiterate the question is, Governor, what will you do to restore driver's license to Florida's immigrants? We're going to start with you, Mr. Levine.
Thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias por su pregunta, Premier. Muchas gracias. Folks, our country is about the American dream. People come here from all over the world. They come to our nation and they come to Florida to live the dream. We must be a tolerant nation. We must make sure that folks that are coming to our country have opportunity. We must make sure that folks that are dreamers get citizenship yesterday, and it's terrible that we've waited this long going forward. We must make sure that the 11 to 12 million undocumented workers and folks that are living in our country, that we give them a pathway to citizenship. We must make it easier for immigrants to become successful in our nation, and I can assure you that means having a driver's license. And if I'm honored to be governor, the folks that are coming to our country, the immigrants into our state, will have a champion, they'll have a friend, because I know one thing. My great-grandparents were immigrants, and I believe all of our ancestors were immigrants to our country.
Mrs.
Thank
Graham,
you so much.
Mrs. Graham, you're next.
What's your first name again?
Hold your applause, please.
The question again?
Yes, what's your first name again? I didn't hear.
What's your first name, ma'am?
My name is Irma Cabriales, and the question was...
She gets the question.
Just the
Thank
next.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And you are right. It makes absolutely no sense that they would strip the right of immigrants to have driver's license. I have a little bit of experience with the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. My husband used to be the general counsel there. So I'm going to talk to him and find out what do we need to do to get the right regulations in place that do not strip immigrants' rights to have a car, because you can't go to work, you can't make sure that you're fully integrated into our communities across the state of Florida if you don't have a car and a way to get there. And another challenge that we have is that we don't have access to public transit that allows people to get where they need to be from point A to point B easily in Florida. And that's another challenge that the state of Florida faces, to build our public transit opportunities so that people don't have to have a car. But I think it's very important that we make sure that anyone that needs a driver's license should be able to get one unless there's some other significant concern, so that you can fulfill your livelihood, get to school, get to work, what you need to do. I'm sorry you're going
Thank you, Ms. Graham. That's time. Mr. Gillum, you're next.
Yes, Imra, thank you very much for your question. And let me start by saying, yes, easy. Number two, leadership starts at the top. And unfortunately, we've had a string of leadership and leaders in this state who have tried to use immigrants, undocumented persons, as a wedge issue to score political points. And so I was proud to debate the Speaker of the House when he tried to make brown people in his commercial look as if they were only here to be murderers, rapists, and killers in the state, right? I stood up against that, and I was proud to do it. I also was proud to stand up and say illegals is not a noun, right? You don't get to call people illegals. But the reason why the other side does that is so that they can strip us of our humanity. Because if you can take away a person's humanity, you can do anything to them. And so what we need is a leader who's prepared to stay up unapologetically, not in election seasons, but outside of election seasons, and regardless of what the cost is, to say we stand with you, we stand for you, and we're going to create a welcoming Florida for you.
And just to reiterate, please hold your applause. Mr. King, you're next. And just to remind you, the question is, what will you do to restore driver's licenses to Florida immigrants?
Yes, we'll do everything in my power. I couldn't imagine living under that kind of a circumstance, and no community and no person should have that. You know, one of the biggest challenges I think we have today in Florida and around the nation is two words: Donald Trump, when it comes to immigrants. And you know, the challenge I think is the next governor has a real responsibility as a Florida governor of the third largest state to set the record straight when Donald Trump comes with his bite and his bark to the immigrant community. And you know, one of the most vicious times he came forward this year was just a few months back. If you remember, I was in Little Haiti, surrounded by Haitian business leaders, when he said what he said from the White House about people who immigrated from Haiti or from African countries. And I said that night in South Florida, what you said, Mr. President, in a big speech was cruel. It was wrong. It was un-American. And if I'm next to the governor of Florida, I will fight it every chance I get.
That's your time.